Little People, Big Dreams. Andy Warhol. Written by Maria Isabel Sanchez Vergara. Little Andy was the tiniest and palest child of the Warhols, a humble couple from Slovakia who lived in Pittsburgh. He spent every minute of his day drawing, but he was too shy to share his work with others, even his family. Every Sunday morning, his mother would take him to church. Then back home, he played baseball with his brothers. And he always carried his sketchbook with him, and not 5 minutes could pass before he was drawing again. Aged 8, his leg started shaking like a marionette, and Andy had to lay in bed for months. He had a great time looking through the pages of magazines, cutting up pictures of Hollywood stars. Trying to smile back at the faces in his collages, Andy wished he could be as charming, rich, and famous as they were. He thought his shyness would make it hard, but he was determined to make up for it with talent. At the art club he attended, Andy felt like an invisible man. Still, when it was time to work, he made himself noticed. By the time the rest of the students had finished just one picture, he had put together a whole pile. Andy won a prize at a college exhibition for a drawing he made while helping his brother deliver groceries. It was the first time a newspaper had written an article about him. It felt good, and Andy wanted more. He took a train to New York, where he got a chance to publish his first illustration for a glamorous magazine. But they accidentally dropped the A of his last name, and that's how Andy Warhol became Andy Warhol. Andy became known for drawing charming shoes, colorful makeup, and glamorous sunglasses for the best magazines in town. But as an artist, he liked to look at ordinary things, especially the tomato soup he had for lunch every day. Instead of creating just one painting like most artists did, Andy decided to make 32 pictures of 32 soup cans. Each of them was a different flavor, but they all looked so much alike. It was hard to tell them apart. His first exhibition looked more like a grocery store than an art gallery. Viewers were shocked by all the canvases placed in a long like products on shelves. They wondered if something so surprisingly everyday could be called art. Of course it could. It was pop art, the art for all, and soon Andy was its king. Bottles, bills, famous faces. He produced hundreds of copies of the same pictures and made each one unique with his interesting perspective and bright colors. He opened a space called the factory, where the coolest musicians, actors, and models loved to hang out. But for Andy, the hip crowd were his assistants. After all, he liked to work even when he was not working. And by letting his art speak for him, Andy, the quiet little genius, made himself heard all around the globe. And he showed us that even an ordinary can of tomato soup can make the whole world go pop. Born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania in August 1928, Andy Warhol was the youngest of three brothers. His parents, Andrew and Julia, immigrated to the USA from the Slovak Republic in the 1920s. The Warhol siblings grew up in a smoky industrial city during the Great Depression, where Andy learned to draw. Aged 6, he was confined to bed with sickness. With nothing else to do, he turned to images from magazines and newspapers, tracking them and cutting them out. At high school, Andy furthered his interest in art and design and was the first member of his family to go to college. One summer, he worked dressing window displays where he fell in love with high fashion. This also sparked an interest in illustration, which he went on to study at the Carnegie Institute. The night of graduation, he caught a train to New York and never left, picking up illustration work for magazines such as Vogue, and he caught the eye of art directors everywhere. Age 32, he bought a 4-story townhouse and started to experiment with fine art, using newspaper images and advertising to make his own art. Turning soup cans into large-scale screen print, he also reimagined portraits of icons such as Marilyn Monroe, Jackie Kennedy, and Elvis. In doing so, he became one of the world's most influential pop artists, celebrating the idea that anything can be art. And he went on to set up a studio called The Factory, which became a hub for artists. He became world famous exhibiting both screen prints and film. Today, he is remembered as the artist who found beauty in everyday objects. The end.